This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, let's get into that WWE Podcast mailbag. It's time to hear your thoughts on Survivor Series. I'd imagine that a lot of you are going to be discussing your predictions, your thoughts, CM Punk, Randy Orton, and what you expect to happen for Survivor Series and beyond. So without further delay, let's jump right into it. And of course, patrons get priority here. So another perk of being a patron on patreon.com, you get to be towards the front of the program here, this episode. So this is from Kyle. He says, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Kyle, New York Kyle, back at it again for Survivor Series. So let's get into this. I'm sending this on a Wednesday, so if anything is added on Friday Night SmackDown, I apologize in advance. First is Carlito and Santos Escobar. I think Santos Escobar is going to win because he just turned heel and he's going to be getting a major push going forward. Next, the Intercontinental Champion, Gunther versus The Miz for the IC Championship. I think Gunther retains, but if they really want to push a babyface Miz, he will look good in defeat, and I think this will be one of The Miz's best matches in a long time. Next is the Women's World Champion Rhea versus Zoe Stark for the Women's World Championship. Same thing here, Rhea will retain, but Zoe will look strong in defeat as an upcoming rising star. Next is the Women's War Games match. I think Damage Control finally gets a big win, but after the match, the group is going to kick Bayley out of Damage Control and betray her. Ooh, I like that. And finally, the men's Money in the Bank War Games match is going to be, which consists of Orton, now Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins. This is where you think that the Judgment Day, since they have the advantage, not going to matter because Team Rhodes is going to win, and we maybe get Randy turning on Cody to start a feud, or turns on Jay since a Bloodline injured Randy. That's all for this week. I hope you guys enjoy Survivor Series. Thanks, Kyle. A lot of people are predicting Randy to already turn, and that's very, very possible. Even though I am a big proponent of letting things run their course before you decide to swim upstream. When you have, for example, I think it was Survivor Series, or rather, no, it wasn't. It was Extreme Rules, rather. Extreme Rules 2016, 2015, somewhere around there. Seth Rollins had been gone from an injury. He comes back, or left a big heel, comes back a heel, and the crowd was ready to embrace him at this point. And they turned him heel, and the crowd didn't want it. The crowd was ready for Seth Rollins to be a babyface, and I think it was a missed opportunity. Now, there are already a lot of big babyface names on Raw. They're certainly not going to turn Cody Rhodes, unfortunately. Sami Zayn is kind of locked into that beloved babyface character. Seth Rollins doesn't look like he's going to turn heel anytime soon. And so you have three massive babyfaces on Monday Night Raw, and now you're going to add Randy Orton to that when he's already got massive beef with Jey Uso, who is part of the family that took him out to begin with. Yeah, you could easily see Randy Orton here help the team and then drop Jey or Cody. That's both are possible. But it depends if they want to really milk this maybe initial quick burst of support for Randy Orton and not turn him heel that quickly. But we'll see, because if they remind us that Jey Uso is part of the group that took him out, then, maybe Randy does turn. So it's going to be very interesting. Either way, I don't think the turn happens, like you said, for Damage Control turning on Bayley, or Randy turning on Jey or Cody, or both. That happens until after both teams have won. I agree. I think we're going to see a turn in one or both of those matches. That's a great observation. Thank you, Kyle. Hope you enjoy the event as well. let's get to some more patrons. Let's just go all old school here. Let's go DJ Kuzmo. And he says he's back at it again on our Mailbag show and another PLE coming this Saturday. And yet again, I will say for the umpteenth time, Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling fan, we miss y'all. Hopefully we get a return of the Mailbag and take over right in time for the Rumble. Yeah, I'm working on that. I have not forgotten about Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling fan. They haven't been on here in several months, but I'm going to, I will be reaching out to them. Okay, so it's in the works. I'm trying. Okay, it's certainly not for a lack of forgetting about them or anything like that. They were so much fun to listen to. I enjoyed them. They were genuinely great people, and I'm working on it. So we'll see. So here are your Kuzmo Survivor Series War Games predictions and potential spoilers. All right, let's see what you got. So for Carlito and Santos, you think that Santos gets the victory here, but it's interesting to see what happens next in this LWO Santos Escobar saga and if Ray comes back before the end of the year. Yeah, it sounds like Ray is going to be out for several months, so probably not, but maybe in time for Rumble at the earliest WrestleMania time. But I'm excited for Santos's run here. He's going to go on a vicious run, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Santos had a breakout performance last week on the mic. And the crowd was really with him, by the way, giving him a ton of heat. Okay, Rhea and Zoe Stark for the Women's World Championship. And you think that this is an easy one. Rhea retains and continues the championship reign. Yeah, this is it's a slam dunk. Zoe Stark should treat this as the biggest match of her career, but this is a Rhea victory. Totally agree. Gunther and The Miz for the IC title. Easily, I'm going to say Gunther retains again, but what happens next with Imperium since there have been teases of friction in the group? The Miz babyface turn is something I didn't expect to happen this year or ever, and at this stage of his career, what is left for The Miz to prove and to do? Well, first of all, the friction in the group of Imperium is one of the main reasons why I predicted Miz to beat Gunther for the IC title. I still actually believe I'm wrong, but I'm trying to be the smartest guy in the room here by going against everyone else. So I actually don't think WWE is going to do it, but there is now precedent set for it to happen where maybe Gunther here turns babyface by being turned on by, Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser. But as far as The Miz, what's left for him to do and to prove, that how about this? That he can go on a credible run. That he's actually doesn't need help to win. That we can actually take him seriously. How about that? How about that for a basic, a basic run, or a basic goal? Pause. And a side note, will Shinsuke appear on Saturday with another mysterious promo? And then whoever the promo is for that person, will they appear? Just something to think about and ponder. I don't know. It's possible that Shinsuke's left off completely. But given how well he did with Seth Rollins and the promo strategy that was implemented prior to that, we'll see. But we did get hints of we didn't get hints of. We were told that he has somebody in mind, but we don't know who it is. That could be revealed at Survivor Series. I don't know. I give it a 50-50 shot Shinsuke appears. I just don't know who he's targeting. It could be Randy Orton or it could be Cody. I don't know. Although he wouldn't be targeting Randy if he didn't know he was appearing yet. So, okay. Charlotte and Team Charlotte versus Damage Control for the Women's War Games match. Charlotte's team gets the win so that Becky can finally get a revenge on Damage Control and move on to possibly facing Rhea for the championship. And also a potential Damage Control loss. We'll continue to see the slow build to a Bayley face turn when she gets ousted from the group. You see, it's funny. All of us, win, lose, or draw for Damage Control, we still have scenarios in which Damage Control turns on Bayley, but I feel like we've been predicting that for the better part of 6 months, and it hasn't happened yet. But I think we're getting close because there are now a lot of members of Damage Control. There are some good top names that like Asuka, that are in there that can take over that leadership role, and that Bayley can try to work with. And I think Bayley as a heel, we've seen every iteration of what this character can bring to that version of Bayley at this time. So I think I'm ready for a Bayley babyface turn. I think we all are. We've been ready for quite some time. All right. And as far as Team Yeet, Team Yeet versus Judgment Day for the 5-on-5 men's War Games match. So you say the Judgment Day gets the win to further the storyline of Drew's involvement in the group. This win here would prove against the naysayers' beliefs that there are tensions rising in the group, similar to when the Bloodline won last year, but then problems started to arise as the storyline continued, where we eventually saw a Sammy babyface turn and he left the group. Jimmy and Jay's loss of the tag titles at WrestleMania, and of course, the tribal wars within the group, leading to the Roman versus Jay tribal combat match at SummerSlam. However, something might be brewing here between Drew and Damian. And what does Rhea have to say about that? And what is the future of the group? Anyway, the storyline should be really interesting, whichever way the Judgment Day future leads to after Survivor Series. DJ Kuzmo signing off. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy Survivor Series and have a great weekend. Thank you, DJ. Okay, let's continue on with our patrons. And let's see. We're going to go with... let's go with Charlie, another patron, and he says, I have a crazy idea for Survivor Series that could lead to a mega match at WrestleMania. The match ends with, air quotes, Cody's team, thank you for putting air quotes, and Seth holds up his championship when all of a sudden CM Punk comes out. Low blows Seth, Damian cashes in, and we get a Seth versus Punk at WrestleMania, along with Damian versus Cody. Let me know what you think. Also, Matt, aren't you the only person who's... One of the favorites is Mean Girls. It's one of my favorites too. Yay, I'm not alone. we're man enough to admit it. You know, hey, it's a good movie. We can objectively say that. Not a lot of chick. I don't like a lot of chick flicks. I mean, I could go through a few of them, of which I won't reveal here. But Mean Girls is at the top of the list for me. So cool. All right. Now, as far as CM Punk coming back, low blowing Seth, I mean, it's very, very possible. But everything I'm hearing is pointing to a CM Punk non-return. Doesn't look like he's going to return because I think that they announced, from what I understand, they announced Randy Orton's return ahead of time to soften the blow that, oh, if there is a return, hopefully it's CM Punk. But they've already kind of let the cat out of the bag so that they maximize Randy Orton's return by not pretending it's CM Punk's. I know that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, but it really does when you think about it. Because if they didn't announce Randy and they said there's a mystery fifth partner and it wasn't CM Punk in Chicago would have been not happy. Even though it was a Randy Orton return, people would have probably chanted BS. You know, they risk that happening. So it was a smart move by WWE to let the cat out of the bag beforehand, to kind of prepare the Chicago crowd for a non-return for CM Punk. But if that happens, I mean, Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania would be a lot of fun. They genuinely don't like one another, from what I understand. So that always adds a lot of intrigue, too. And Damian and Cody. I feel like Damian and Cody already happened. Didn't it already happen at, was it SummerSlam? Or not SummerSlam. We just got it. So I don't need to see Damian and Cody again. But thank you, Charlie. Okay. Another patron. This is Mitch, and he says, I wanted to let you know I'll be attempting to emulate Roman Reigns' record next year. I'm going to show up to work 11 times and see what happens. Maybe I'll be hailed as the greatest employee of the modern era. That's a good point. You know, if all of us mimicked what Roman Reigns has done in our own jobs, and we showed up 11 times in the year, would they say, wow, what a streak this guy's going. He never calls in sick. He never takes a day off. Yeah, that's great. I love it. So admittedly, I stole that from online, but it was pretty good and worth sharing. I don't care where you stole it from. It's still funny. On a side note, there's lots of advertising here in Australia for Elimination Chamber, of which Roman features on none of it. Would it be safe to say he's not coming? Thanks for reading my email. Enjoy War Games and have a great week. Well, thank you, Mitch. You as well, and enjoy War Games. I think it would be a travesty if he's not there, given WWE has really been focusing on their global reach. I mean, think about how many international shows WWE has done over the last 6 months. The majority have been international shows, and I have no problem with that. The crowds overseas are infinitely better than the United States, generally speaking, although Saudi Arabia was really a womp the last time around at Crown Jewel. But I think that they were not going to advertise Roman because at the time that they created the marketing material, they didn't have Roman in mind. So I would give it a 50-50 shot, which is really insane given that, again, you're in Australia. WWE rarely goes to Australia. You don't want to make the most of it. It's also the final event before WrestleMania, final stop, and you don't have Roman Reigns. I mean, I'd still give it a 50-50 shot. But cool. Thanks, Mitch. All right, Thomas Franco. And it's been a while. Yeah, so you say that... It also has been a while, and 2 PLEs ago to be exact, with life getting in the way of being able to write in. I'm still loving the Discord server and your weekly episodes. I often listen to them on my way back home from the gym, running errands, or while doing some work. Yeah, I hear that a lot. You guys do. You listen to this show while you're at work or in the car on the way to work or wherever. Like, I mean, am I more interesting than the music on Spotify? I don't know. I mean, I listen to some wrestling podcasts, but man, when I'm on my way to work, 9 times out of 10, I am shoving on my Spotify playlist, or I use that DJX on Spotify. If you guys haven't used that, it's an AI DJ on Spotify that is like a personal DJ, and it tailors your music to you, and it sounds very natural. So if you haven't checked that out, I'm not trying to get you to discourage. I'm not discouraging you from listening to my show, but it's always interesting to hear that people, like, when they're listening to me, whether they're driving to work or at the gym running errands or sitting on the toilet. I mean, I don't know what people are doing, right? But cool. Drew McIntyre turning heel and Randy Orton being announced happened on Raw in consecutive weeks, and I don't remember Raw being this entertaining in quite some time. It seems like Triple H has finally gotten full control of creative because now Raw doesn't feel like a drag, and I love it. Yeah, there are times, though, that it feels Vince-esque, and I think some of that is because it's not all Triple H, coming up with everything. Vince had a far and wide and deep reach into the company. And there's a lot of people that still think like Vince. And even though Vince isn't in control of creative anymore, there are people that are just forever programmed to what Vince likes. And while they're not trying to please Vince anymore, they have been permanently altered by what Vince thinks good wrestling and good programming is. So I think it's going to take some time to kind of flush those people out, or if possible, reprogram their brains to a new set of creative ideas and ways to be entertaining, and not always look at it as, well, it was successful under Vince, so let's keep this going. So it's not just because Vince is no longer in charge of creative doesn't mean that the people he influenced, and there's a lot of them, and a lot of them worked for many years under him, are not still being influenced and affected by Vince. So that's the thing. That's why it's not drastically different either. I'm beyond excited for both War Games matches, and the storylines this year are very strong, going into it similarly to last year, and adding Randy to Cody's team is intriguing. I could see Randy turning on Cody after the match and setting up their feud, or RKOing Jay and starting their feud. Then we have the Damian Priest situation. Is he going to get kicked out of the Judgment Day? I could possibly see this happening either here or at the Rumble. Let me know your thoughts. Yeah, there's a lot of tension in a lot of groups. And Randy Orton, again, the Randy Orton RKOing on Jay makes total sense. The question is, do they side with Randy or do they side with Jay? Maybe Jay turns back to being a heel. Randy's totally justified in doing it if he does it. Are people really going to boo Randy? Given how, first of all, even when Randy is in the best of his heel mode, and Randy can be a very good heel, people still cheer for his RKO. So you think on a big stage, after 18 months, that in a move that people cheer anyway, no matter what he's doing or how lame he is or how evil his character is, they are going to boo an RKO to Jay, which, by the way, is completely justified, given everything that Jay and his family did to him. So we'll see. But as far as Damian Priest and the tension in the Judgment Day, that's been there for a while, and it feels like that's been kind of softened over, but then you see it creep up again. So I think that'll continue. I don't know what the ultimate end game is. I really don't, to be totally honest with you, because they've teased Finn being ousted and then JD being, completely ousted, but then he's actually invited to be an official member of the group. And then Damian and Rhea are butting heads as kind of co-leaders of the group, even though they say there's no leader. They're making deals behind each other's backs and putting each other in their own mat. Like, it's a very interesting dynamic, and I think they're just testing the waters. I don't even know if they know where they're going, to be quite frank. Lastly, I don't know if you caught this on X this week, but there were 27 women shown on Raw in the first hour alone. Finally, Triple H is doing his damn job and getting the train rolling here on creating a solid women's division with storyline and purpose. So excited for Mania season and the potential directions with multiple storylines. That's all for me. Keep up the great work as always, Tom from Montreal. No, I didn't know that stat, the 27 women shown on Raw in the first hour alone. Really? I believe you. But that's striking to see in text. Wow. Okay. Yeah, but here's the key. And I say this about the tag team divisions, especially for the women, but this applies to the men as well. Consistency. You can do it 1 week and then be like, oh, well, we satisfied them. See how many women we put on this show. And then it's 4 months before they show up again. So the key is consistency. We'll see if that continues. Thanks, Tom. All right, let's go to Bad Fish, another patron. And he says, I have my War Games predictions but before I get into that, is it just me, or does Cody Rhodes have no business wearing camouflage face paint? The picture they're using for War Games is laughable at best. Yeah, Mr. Clean Cut, crest white strip, bleach blonde hair, suit wearing politician is suddenly supposed to be this badass in camo that's in the trenches with you. It's funny, yes. Anyway, Rhea wins, but Zoe elevates herself if she can put on a good match. Santos beats Carlito with the help of some unknown wrestlers that would join Santos in the new Legado del Fantasma. That'd be awesome. Team Becky wins and Damage Control turn on Bayley, leading to a Bayley and Io match at Rumble or Mania. Gunther and Miz. After that promo, I honestly don't know. It could go either way, but I'm going Gunther. And finally, the men's War Games match. It's tough, but I think it's Team Orton, not Cody, thank you, that wins. That being said, with Randy in there, who knows? Did anyone notice Jay's expression when Randy was announced? He looked worried. Anyway, sorry for the long one, but I wanted to get my predictions in. Enjoy War Games. Thanks, Badfish. So that's the key, is right. Like, what does Jay do with Randy in this match? Maybe Randy could pretend to be cool with him and then hit an RKO on him at the end after the match is over. And so there's kind of no harm, no foul. They win, but then Randy gets his revenge on Jay there. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting dynamic. Also, there's a lot of tension in the babyface group beyond just Randy Orton and Jay. And, even Randy Orton and Cody, although Cody referred to him as a, quote, old friend. But also Cody and Seth. I know that they had their moment backstage last week and everything seems hunky-dory, but there's a lot of unfinished business there, a lot of violence there. If you remember, Seth Rollins is the one that, after Cody was announced to be injured, took out Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins took out Cody with a sledgehammer. Everyone forgets that. And there's a lot there. So, all right. Thank you. Let's continue with more patrons. Efren, Noah, and Marshall. So this is from all three, and he says, they say, hello from me and my boys. Well, hello, everyone. So now that we know it's official that Randy Orton will be the 5th member of Team Rollins. Yes, that's right, Team Rollins. I love how everybody, by the way, including you, Efren, everybody is not referring to this as Team Cody, because Cody Rhodes arguably has the fewest credentials to be having a team named after him. I know what they're trying to do with him by marketing him as the face of the Survivor Series, having him be the one responsible for bringing Jay to Raw, having him be the one responsible for bringing Randy Orton in. I know what they're doing, but even everybody here on the podcast, and I'd imagine a lot of fans that listen to the show and that don't, are thinking, why is it Team Cody? Even Sami Zayn has a larger resume compared to Cody Rhodes in WWE, and has a bigger reason to have the team named after him. Now, I'm not big on like, oh, who's the captain, who's the team name, but this just is part and parcel for what WWE is trying to do with Cody Rhodes. It's just another thing that is really annoying to me. But yeah, Rollins has a much better case considering he's the world champion. Randy Orton, a legendary star. Seth Rollins, or rather Sami Zayn, long tenure, organically loved by the fans, nearly beat Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber and probably arguably still should have. I mean, yeah, and Jey Uso, even Jey to some degree, you can make an argument is a better case to be made to be named Team Jey or Team Uso. Given everything he's accomplished with his brother and in the Bloodline, one of the most successful storylines in WWE history. I mean, go down the line. And it's Team Cody who's making all these decisions, executive decisions, and the team named after him? Sorry, I got on a rant, Efren. Let's continue with your question. I don't know if you noticed Jay's face when Cody dropped Randy's name. Yes, we did. Do you think that there will be a ton of tension or possible RKO to Jay when they are both in the ring at the same time, since it was written that the Bloodline caused Orton to be sidelined for over a year? Well, Efren and Noah and Marshall, if you've listened to the show up to this point, you kind of know my answer. But to summarize, there's going to be tension. It won't be immediately, I think, noticeable, or if there is, it won't last long. They'll probably work through the match together, and maybe there'll be some miscommunications. You think there might be a moment where Randy turns, but I think they'll get through the match together to defeat the Judgment Day, get the victory, and that's when, after the match is over, there is the highest likelihood of Randy hitting an RKO on Jay. And rightfully so. Anybody that thinks differently, that that's a sign of a heel turn, and maybe WWE is thinking that's a heel turn, it's not. Somebody sidelines you for 18 months. I don't care if Jey Uso is the top babyface. They kind of got what's coming to him. So I think there's a very high chance that Randy turns on Jay. I'll be very disappointed, though, and I'm saying turn on Jay after the match. I'll be very disappointed if they don't remind the fans, or hope the fans don't remember how Randy Orton was taken out 18 months ago. I hope they don't go that road and just Randy's just being Randy, and it's like he's a clean slate. His memory's been wiped. I really hope they don't go that road. But thank you, Efren, Noah, and Marshall. All of you, enjoy Survivor Series. Okay, and thank you for being a patron. Let's see. Who do we talk to? Let's talk to King Scully. And King Scully says he's in the house representing the UK. Hey, Matt, how you doing? It's been a few weeks since I graced you with an email. Anyway, I knew what I wanted to say and then listened to your weekend review. Man, our opinions and thoughts are pretty much spot on. I really enjoyed the Santos Escobar promo. It was class. I mean, that is how you work a heel promo. I was really into it, and I loved he had his old theme back. Agreed. Yes. His timing, the way he hoped that Ray was gonna get an infection, and that Dom was right, it was great. Then when Zelina came down and slapped him for a moment, in my twisted mind, I thought, go on, grab her, shove her down, something like that. Then he attacked his teammates and walked off as Carlito ran down. Brilliant. Yeah, I actually could see him still shoving Zelina Vega down, but in this very different, I'll just say different for lack of a better term that I don't want to use to get into anything other than wrestling here. It's a different world we live in. It probably won't happen, but I would like to see Santos shove down Zelina and get some more massive heat, but I don't think that'll happen. Then the negative, Cody Rhodes. Will he just do one already? I mean, why the hell does he have to stick his bleach blonde hair, crap tattoo, self, and others. Yeah, actually, that's a great point about his tattoo. I haven't really brought that up. His neck tattoo of the American Nightmare. Some people love it. I mean, I guess I'm also skewed by how much I hate his babyface character, that it adds to everything I dislike about his character. So I agree. His tattoo it's as distracting as his lisp. And I know people are like, oh, don't talk about his lisp. Oh, that's not nice. Okay, well, I can. You know why I can? Because he decides to put himself in front of a national audience. And when you put yourself on that stage, with all your flaws and strengths, you cannot expect everyone to just focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. Comes with the territory, my friend. So those of you out there that are uncomfortable and don't like when I bring up Cody's lisp, I don't know what to tell you. I know that's not about his lisp. We talk about his tattoo. But in that same vein, Cody's lisp is still distracting. It still takes away from his promos. If it's correctable, I don't know why he doesn't correct it. I understand his dad had one, but you know, this is not from my estimation, it's not exactly an incurable thing. Perhaps when he was a child, it's just never, his dad never bothered to get it fixed, work with a speech pathologist or whatever. And it's just kind of bled into his adulthood and has kind of stayed there. But let's be fair. I mean, anyone that says his lisp doesn't hurt his promos in even the smallest way is just lying to you. Okay, I know that people get very uncomfortable when I talk about it because we're all supposed to just accept everybody for the way they are, and I get that to some degree. But when you're in the rise of wrestling and you are, you're under a microscope, and I have to sit here and pretend that I don't see his lisp, I do, and it's distracting. It's not distracting enough to, I think, really hurt his career. I don't think it's that bad, and I'm not making fun of him. Okay, I'm not sitting here going, "Oh my God, what a loser." That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But I can objectively say anybody with a brain would look at him and go, yeah, like I understand he has a list. And like, if you cut promos for a living, if a massive part of your living is based on you having to speak and you have a speech impediment, then just fact-based opinion, it's kind of an oxymoron, a factual observation, how about that, would say something like this. That's distracting. It takes away from a little bit of me paying attention to what you want to say, and it's unfortunately me paying attention to a little bit of your lisp. It is what it is. It has not. I don't care if he turns heel or babyface. Like, that's just always going to be the way he is, and that's fine. Again, not making fun of him. It's just my opinion on it. Okay, so on a show that has nothing to do with him either. Last I checked, he no longer had the tag titles. Plus, he already got his own beef. He's already got his own beef with Judgment Day. He has a program. They couldn't find someone else to help LA Knight or just let him get a beatdown. Same with Becky. The final thing. It's great Randy Orton is returning, but couldn't that have been a surprise at the pay-per-view? Where was the RKO out of nowhere? Could Damian cash in? So I've already gone over the Damian cash in possibility. I think it's in the universe of possibility that, given the brutality of this match and that Seth could be left laying at the end of the match, Damian could cash in and become world champion after the men's match is over. It's possible, but I don't think it's likely. As far as why Randy wasn't a surprise at the event and we didn't get the RKO out of nowhere or the surprise fifth opponent or the surprise fifth partner, I've already explained that a little bit earlier. It's simply because they didn't want to run the risk of the Chicago crowd, who would elevate the return of Punk over Randy to look at Randy's return as kind of a downer. Because now they go in going, okay, Randy's going to be here. Great. Now we're not disappointed when it's not CM Punk as the surprise fifth member. We already know who that is. So maybe Punk will show up in some other capacity. And Randy Orton's return is maximized. That's what they did. They try to mitigate that potential negative reaction for Randy if they did a surprise fifth member announcement at the event itself, because you're in Chicago. So, but yeah, also LA Knight, no spot in the event. Shinsuke Nakamura, no spot on the event. Maybe Shinsuke's targeting LA Knight. Who knows? I know they're on separate shows, but WWE doesn't seem to care about that. Okay. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. All right. So thank you, King Scully. Let's let's see. Let's talk to Justin from Maryland in an email. Yes. He says, it's Justin from Maryland. I hope everyone is doing well. I apologize for the 3 voicemails. The call dropped multiple times for whatever reason. Only play the 3rd voicemail. I'm about to call in now. I'm excited for Survivor Series, and I know all of you are as well. Okay, well, thank you, Justin. I will delete your first 2, and I will, when we get to that point, I will only play your 3rd. Thank you. All right. Couple more emails. Let's see where we're at with that. Couple more emails, yeah. So this is from Mason. Mason says, let me talk to you. So when do you think we're going to get a return of AJ Styles in the OC? I kind of miss them from SmackDown and wish that after the Santos Escobar turn, the Legado del Fantasma reformed a feud with the OC to kind of distract people from the AJ Roman so someone else could get a chance. Hint, hint, Randy Orton. Speaking of him, why didn't he just show up on Raw? Maybe they have the Judgment Day fake his return and then have Cody break the news. I feel like that would have been better. That's for all that. Yeah. First of all, Randy Orton not being on Raw was a bit of a disappointment, and I'm sure having the fans in person were like, what the hell? Like, you announce him, but we're just supposed to not expect him to have his music hit and have him come out. Yeah, that is very frustrating. But I think it was done strategically because, sure, you could have had Randy come out, RKO somebody, and, say, yeah, I'm the 5th member. But maybe, and this is my thought, is it was strategically done from a business perspective because Randy Orton he's at this point nearly a household name. He's a legend in the business. He is that big. And if you have somebody of that caliber who hasn't wrestled in over a year and a half coming back, it gets fans excited. It gets a buzz going. And it also tells fans, oh man, I have to subscribe to the network to see it. Pretty simple business strategy. And I think some people will do that. Now, as far as AJ Styles in the OC, I don't know, honestly, how long I didn't think AJ Styles would be out this long. Now, if AJ Styles returns, who's he going after? Probably the Judgment, or probably the Bloodline. It would have to be, given how he went out. And having AJ Styles in the OC versus Santos and Legado del Fantasma, you would do that second. I don't think you would do that first. Because having him face have AJ Styles target someone that had nothing to do with him leaving in the first place, it'd be kind of illogical. They could do it, but I don't think that would be a smart move. You have to kind of go after the guy that got you, that was the reason for you leaving in the first place. All right. Thank you, Mason. All right. A few more, David. And he says his Survivor Series predictions are Santos Escobar wins, but continues to beat up Carlito until the LWO puts a stop to it, and he runs out of the ring. Gunther versus The Miz. You think that The Miz wins due to a Ludwig Kaiser interference. Ludwig tries to distract the referee, but it gets backfired, and The Miz low blows Gunther. Again, giving him a skull-crushing finale for the win. I think something like this is going to happen because the WWE has been teasing an Imperium breakup for weeks, and this will further the tension between the group even more. Yeah, that's also kind of my logic too. Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark. You say you're actually torn between this match because I like Rhea, and it's most likely she'll win. But I've been watching NXT, and Zoe Stark was just starting, and I knew that it was just a matter of time before she was called up to the main roster. But Rhea's going to win here, although Zoe still got her rematch clause, so let's see what will happen there. Yeah, I mean, there's just no way. This is a 100% 0% for me. There's no good case to be made at this point with these two women really in different universes when it comes to where they are in the eyes of fans. They're kind of on polar opposite, parts of their careers. And that's nothing against Zoe. I mean, Rhea Ripley is one of the faces of the company right now, not just Raw, but the company. She's on a hell of a run. And Zoe Stark's just getting her feet wet, for God's sakes, on the main roster. So she's got a lot of work to play catch up. But she'll get there. And the idea is to just help Zoe have a good match, give us some hope spots where even us that are so sure, all the fans that are just, oh my God, Rhea Ripley is for sure going to win. there are those moments you go, well, wait a minute, Zoe, nobody's coming out to help Rhea, and Zoe has her on the ropes. What's going to happen? That's the goal. Okay. The women's War Games match, you're predicting Damage Control to win, but since the men have 5 members, will the women also? If so, is it possible that the babyface's 5th member is Jade Cargill making her debut at War Games? Who do you think will team up with Damage Control if this happens? I don't think it will happen, but if they're trying to make everything even, they could. I don't know who would team up with Damage Control if this happens. I actually don't know who would. So I'm going to say this doesn't happen. I don't think Jade Cargill is going to appear at Survivor Series. I think Randy Orton's the only one to have a big return at Survivor Series. I don't think Punk's showing up. I don't think Big E is showing up. I don't think Jade Cargill is showing up. I could be wrong on those, but typically WWE doesn't do multiple massive returns on a single event because they kind of cancel each other out in a way where you want that big return to be focused solely on that one person. If you have more than one person debut or return on a single event outside of WrestleMania, of course, which is a special event, it just dilutes one another. So the men's match, since Randy Orton's coming back, hands down the babyfaces win. It'll be foolish given the hype if they don't. That's all for now, Steve Usu. I agree, but watch for that RKO after the match. Okay, two more, and then we will move into the voicemails. Gary, imagine the massive wah-wah letdown if all this hype for an Orton or Punk's return at Survivor Series as the last member of Cody's team ends up just being Sheamus. Okay, well, this was obviously sent before the Randy Orton announcement was made, but if this was the case, yeah, imagine it's just Sheamus, or it really could have been Kevin Owens. I mean, that's who I think Sammy was referring to on Monday Night Raw. And, yeah, imagine if it was Sheamus. Whew. Nothing against Sheamus, but when you're the 5th member on a Big 4 pay-per-view and it's a big-time event in Chicago, Sheamus just doesn't fit the bill to be in that position. He just doesn't. It's top of the top that would fill that. So, yeah, but that'd be really bad. All right, final email here. This is from Nick, and he says, "Hey, WWE Mailbag, confession. I'm guilty of being a Roman Reigns fan, even in spite of the absences and heel tactics. And I wanted to say that it's not just the people who hate Roman that think he doesn't defend the title enough. I just looked on the WWE website, and Roman isn't advertised for anything until WrestleMania. That is just brutal, and all I can say is I hope they know what they're doing here. I'm less likely to go to a SmackDown or house show if the tribal chief isn't in attendance. I'm sure that's true for a lot of others. And one other quick thing, let's go Miz, 9-time IC champion coming up. Fingers crossed. Have a great week." Well, thank you, Nick. So if that is true, that Roman Reigns isn't supposed to actually be appearing or wrestling until WrestleMania, the fans honestly need to take things into their own hands here. Maybe start hijacking shows where they start to, I mean, can you hear this in your head? I can. Where is Roman? Where is Roman? I mean, maybe those have already happened, but make it regular and loud. Something like that, where the fans just take over and tell WWE, this is just unacceptable. It's not cool anymore. I don't care how many days. I don't care if he is the number one guy. He beats Bruno Sammartino's record. That would mean we have another 3.5 years, by the way. I don't care if he beats Hulk Hogan. It's almost like WWE wants him to, but the fans don't give a damn. WWE wants to for their own purposes. They want to erase Hulk Hogan's record and knock him down a peg and make Roman Reigns that long of a reigning champion, which again, there's nothing left to gain. There's nothing left to gain. There's only hurt. There's only downside from here. I honestly don't care. And I think most fans, honestly, if you polled them, they don't, if they were to choose between Roman Reigns breaking the all-time or even top 3 championship runs, or just have him drop the belt to somebody that could be there on at least semi-regular basis, the result would be overwhelming that the fans would want Roman Reigns to just drop the damn belt so we can have a champion on SmackDown. And if Roman wants to be on this schedule without the belt, God bless him. No one would care. It's all about the championship. The anger is centered around the championship. It's not centered around the Roman Reigns character, or that the character's bad, or that he's bad in the ring. None of that. No. Quite the contrary. The character is well polished. He's more successful than we could have ever imagined as a heel. It comes down to the championship. And honestly, I'm going to go back on something I've said, where I don't want, if The Rock were to ever show up and challenge Roman, I don't think that, having The Rock beat Roman for the championship at WrestleMania would be a good idea. And I still don't. But I honestly would take anyone to beat Roman Reigns. As long as the title's off him, I would even have The Rock. Even if The Rock takes it and goes, I did it. And then Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, he goes, I'm vacating it, and there's a tournament for the belt. I mean, that'd be insane. But I would take that over this absurdly long, self-serving run that WWE is putting Roman Reigns on. So, all right. That'll do it for the emails, everybody. So that's our cue. You know what that means. It's time for the voicemail. So let's get to them.
Podcast world, this is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning on a kind of a rainy, drizzly, cloudy Wednesday morning, and it is of course Thanksgiving Eve. So before we get to the Veer Mahal report, I gotta say happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy Thursday, enjoy Friday. We got lots of football. Enjoy spending time with your family, and of course the food. I love the food. The turkey, the stuffing, the cranberry sauce, the macaroni pie, and everything else that is on the table. I will be enjoying it. I hope you enjoy it as well, because we got a lot of stuff coming up. And of course, this coming Saturday, we do have War Games in Survivor Series down in Chicago. Now, let's get to your favorite show to come on every single week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahal report. Now, the Veer Mahal report took place this past Monday night on Monday Night Raw, live from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And yes, we did get another appearance of the End this year in another backstage segment, and it looked at something like this. Adam Pearce came in as there were all of the other tag teams. All of the tag teams were kind of like, well, what about us? How come we can't have a tag team turmoil match to be the number one contender? And it is official. It is official. Adam Pearce says that next week on Monday Night Raw, we will have a tag team turmoil match, and the winner of that match will get a number one contender opportunity to face the undisputed tag team champions. Well, of course, they have a tag team championship match this coming Friday night on SmackDown with the Street Profits, and of course the Judgment Day of Damian Priest and Finn Balor. But hey, let's see where the End this year lie in this tag team turmoil match. Now I know they're not gonna win the match, but what I want to see, I want to see some sort of storyline take place. Some sort of storyline is created in the midst of the tag team turmoil match between my guys, the End this year, and some of the other tag teams that they have, whether it's Imperium, whether it's the New Day, Poo Day, whether it's DIY, whether it's all the other tag teams, whatever the case may be. I want to see a continuation of some sort of storyline so that my guys of the End this year, of Veer Mahal, Saga, and the modern day Maharaja get booked regularly after Survivor Series. Now, with that being said, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Be kind to one another. Stay used to my friends. See you at War Games down in the Discord chat, and peace.
DJ, enjoy your Thanksgiving as well. I hope everyone does. And everyone's going to be watching football tomorrow, most people, and indulging and enjoying family and friends. And I hope everyone does. It looks like the weather across the country looks pretty good, so safe travels. And listen, the End this year, at least they are getting airtime, even if it is in positions where they probably aren't going to win, and even if it is just kind of backstage positions, backstage promos, it's an improvement. Okay. The key is consistency, and now there's a pattern of them showing up a little bit. And in the tag team turmoil match, are they going to win? No, probably not. But here's what I would look for. Can they make some noise? Can they actually do something that people remember a little bit and go, oh, wow, they're not so bad? That is, to me, the goal. Is can the End this year do that to make them look like a formidable force? That is what I'm going to be looking for. But all right, well, thank you, DJ, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Now, I did miss, I'm sure, a couple of you patrons who snuck in your questions on my messages, internal messages on Patreon are like, hey, what the hell? You missed me. Well, Zach and Alex, the French guy, I did not forget you. Okay, as I was listening to DJ's voicemail, I went through my messages. I'm like, oh, crap. There are some patrons who actually messaged me on the internal messaging app on Patreon, so I'm going to get to them right now. So I apologize to both Zach and Alex. So here we go. All right, first up, Zach. I know WWE won't book this way, but I think Randy Orton should turn on Cody during War Games. Leading for you to WrestleMania, can tell a great story leading up to it. If not at War Games, Orton can cost Rhodes the Rumble match. That way LA Knight can win the Rumble match to face Roman, and again, in a Hell in a Cell match, maybe. Thoughts? I don't dislike this, but doesn't Orton have more of a beef with Jay, who helped cost him 18 months of his career, again, in storyline, than Cody Rhodes, who, yeah, he has a rocky relationship with Legacy. Then they did have a little bit of a feud there, but like that was an eternity ago compared to what has happened recently. So it would make no sense initially to have Randy face Jay. That doesn't mean Randy can't eventually turn on Cody. But I'm saying off the bat, it wouldn't make sense to ignore the Jay thing. And as I said, I really hope WWE doesn't just pretend that Randy Orton's mind is erased and forgot it. But yeah, so as far as LA Knight, and also, by the way, Cody Rhodes is probably going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So, that spot is somewhat locked in unless The Rock does come back and that happens. But all right, I don't know. Also, LA Knight probably facing, I would imagine it's going to be LA Knight and Drew McIntyre somehow for the world title. I still believe that, but we'll see. A lot of moving parts still. All right, Alex, the French guy. He says, quick thing, where's The Rock? He and WWE rumors have been playing with us for years now. I just can't accept this anymore. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all parties involved, and you're telling me it won't happen? If by Royal Rumble we don't have a sign from The Rock or WWE, I'll consider it done. I can't hope for this forever. We deserve this match. Bye, guys. You know, it's as fans, I'm sure it sounds selfish, especially if you're in WWE, to say, as fans, we deserve this. We deserve that. A lot of times it's unwarranted in this very kind of self-centered society that we're in today, and a lot of things people feel they're entitled to when they're absolutely not. I understand that perspective, but here's the thing. There have been so many teases over the years, especially from The Rock himself, that if he doesn't do this match, the blame and the shame and the heat should go on him. Not all of it, but the majority. Because we've been teased, outwardly teased for years. And then you don't deliver? See, that's a different scenario than just saying, oh, we deserve a Stone Cold Steve Austin CM Punk match. Make it happen. Dance for me, clowns. No. Like things like that just are pulled out of nowhere that we feel like we deserve for matches that don't make sense. No, we don't deserve anything as fans. We should get what we pay for with our tickets and our merch and loyalty to the company. But that doesn't mean we should just at every whim that we have, WWE should satisfy it. This is different though, because it's been going on for years and outwardly teased by the people involved in this potential matchup. And also, yeah, it's a missed opportunity for everyone. Everyone. Not just money, which would be enormous cash for WWE, The Rock, Roman, but just legacy. No pun intended. Like just the story of The Rock, the story of Roman, it's right there. I don't need The Rock overthinking this. And I know he said, well, we didn't do it the first time because I wanted to make it bigger than just a match. I wanted to start something, not just finish something. Anybody, we can always have a match. No, Rock. How about you don't overthink this? It's still pro wrestling. Wrestling hasn't really changed. We just want the match, bro. Like, just give us the match. It doesn't need... We aren't sitting here going, well, I hope it's not just the match. I hope there's more. No, fans don't care. The match itself will be more than enough. We don't need you trying to create more out of something that doesn't need to be more. And then using that extra stuff as an excuse why it didn't happen. We don't care about that extra crap. Give us the match and then leave and go to Hollywood for the rest of your career. It will be tragic if this match doesn't happen. It'll be tragic. And The Rock should be booed for it. WWE should be booed for it. Like, somebody needs to take the heat for this. And I don't know how the fans are going to be able to do this. But there needs to be somebody needs to be held accountable. And I think a lot of this is on The Rock. It just is. If it doesn't happen. Thanks, Alex. All right. So back to those all important voicemails. And I think this next one we have is, I think this one's from Israel, guys. I think you know who this is. Let's get to him.
Hello, WWE Podcast Universe. That's right, I call the WWE Podcast Universe. I just came back from seeing The Marvels, which is a pretty good movie, as I thought. Others will say that it is a bad movie. I don't know, I kind of enjoyed of The Marvels, and I came back with thinking about the universe, so yeah. WWE Podcast is part of the universe right now. And speaking of universe, we are getting to the Survivor Series universe, but no Survivor Series matches, just 2 War Games. And the War Games this year still look a little bit like a bummer, like not good. Of course, well, I have a legacy. I am friend of the Apex Predator. I'm friend of the one that called Randy Orton. Oh, you didn't guess it's Randy Orton? I gave so many clues. Why did Cody Rhodes have to give so many clues about Randy Orton? He could have said just legacy and people would understand. Why did Cody Rhodes need to say all those things? Why Randy Orton couldn't come by himself? And even he didn't come by himself, he could put a video or something like his music. But no, Mr. Cody Rhodes, the principal of everything, need to tell it. Oh, and of course he need to come to SmackDown and save LA Knight. Now I understand that he spoke with Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis allowed that there will be like a mix between Raw and SmackDown because of Survivor Series. He understood that the teams need to find new partners, so he said SmackDown roster is available to War Games, but it looks so weird that they are mixing Raw and SmackDown just for War Games and all the other times. So yeah, let's do a draft and that's it. It's so weird that they keep going out of the draft rules, and that's the thing of WWE that I hate kind of right now. They do things right, but they do it in the wrong way. It's good that they brought Randy Orton, but it's bad how they brought him. It's nice that they brought Becky Lynch, but it's weird that she just came out of nowhere to SmackDown. Yeah, that's it. Just one last thing. In the few days next, some hostages that were kidnapped by the Hamas are going to come back to our country. Most of them are children and women, and it's really nice finally that they will see some light. Please remember that there are still hostages in Israel that kept by Hamas in the Gaza. And I hope that as long as the weeks will pass, we will see more people come back to our country, and that we will have some peace in our place in Israel. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Ron. It's good to hear from you. And yeah, I mean, again, what's going on there, or what happened a couple months ago was absolutely insanely just inhumane. But I did see that there are possible people, or there is a trade, or a deal to be made between Israel and Hamas of bringing back hostages that they took on October 7th in exchange for freeing some Palestinians from prison. And so, that is a good thing from the perspective of those that had loved ones that were held hostage, potentially being able to come back, in a very unlikely scenario. Honestly, like I thought that, if they were taken hostage over there, like you're pretty much, you're dead. Now, based on the things that they were doing to everybody with women, children, and babies, but I don't want to dive too much into that, other than, hopefully there's peace. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? Like the peace, which is a good lofty goal to have, but a easier said than done one, given everything going on there, and could spread outside very quickly of Israel, Gaza, and Palestine. So, all right, well, your comments here are well founded as far as the whole just complete disregard for the rules. But it's Survivor Series season, and this is what I'm talking about. Like Triple H, I'm surprised he's giving into this and not adhering by the brand rules, and that's why I don't think it's just Triple H who's making these decisions in a vacuum. He clearly has a team behind him that still has a lot of Vince McMahon-ism in their brain. And I know they're trying to put on the biggest show possible, but they're doing it at the expense of the brand rules, and they feel that the negatives outweigh the positives here, or the positives outweigh the negatives, rather. And they're thinking, well, who cares? It's a bigger match. Even if it doesn't make sense, we don't explain it, or all that kind of stuff. I'm a big believer the opposite way, but they're a business, and I know they have to put on the biggest match possible. So, I understand it, but I don't like it. And I guess I don't have to like it for it to happen. So it's not a condition of execution, right? Like, I don't have to like something for WWE to say, well, okay, well, as long as you like it, we'll do it. If you don't, we won't do it, right? Not going to happen. So, but as far as the Marvels go, your initial opening statement, I have not seen it. I have heard bad things about it. I heard it. I mean, no, I haven't heard it. I know it was the worst opening weekend for a Marvels movie in the history of the Marvels universe. It flopped completely. It had a $47 million opening. It cost, I think, $250 million to make. And there's a lot of reasons floating around as to why that is, which we won't get into because I don't want to dive into that kind of thing. But you can deduce what that reason is. I mean, you could just understand who the leads are and the gender role thing and all that kind of stuff. And so I'll just leave it there. But the Marvels, I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. First of all, cool. I'm glad you did. I have not seen it myself. I've actually just recently, over the last several months, gotten into the Marvels universe thing because I love superhero movies. But my wife and I started with like idiots. I mean, we thought this made sense. We started with the Marvels, the Avengers, right? We started with the Avengers 1. And then we went to the second Avengers movie and the third Avengers movie and the fourth one. And we're like, why isn't this making sense? We're going in order. And we didn't realize that there is an actual way to watch the full story in its totality to have it make sense. Because you would think that going from the first Avengers to the second Avengers to the third to the fourth to Endgame, and you're like, yo, well, you wouldn't miss anything in there. But all the things that are in between there, with Captain America and with Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, and with Thor and his 3 movies, and Hulk and Spider-Man, all of them, right? I didn't know that you actually had to watch those in a specific order to fill in the gaps. So, I remember going from Infinity War to Endgame, and I'm like, what just happened? Why does Thor not have an eye anymore? What happened to his eye? What happened to his hair? Why is Loki dead? I'm like, so, and now we're trying to reverse engineer it and watch it in the correct order, and it's just a mess. So I've kind of screwed myself right from the get-go. But as we all know, a new Avengers is coming out in 2025 and then I think 2026. So there are 2 more Avengers movies. So that should be fun. Thank you so much, Sharon. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about SmackDown and the ending of SmackDown with the women and having Becky come out and being now officially having her join the War Games match for this year but she's on Raw, but is a bigger star. So that's what it is, and I personally like it. I know it's lazy for some people, and I think for some people they don't like that Becky's in War Games. She has no history with damage control anymore because they had their payoff at WrestleMania this year where Becky pinned Bayley, not on Raw as well in that steel cage match, and then also at WrestleMania as well. So Becky's done with damage control. She's kind of in the scene with her and Xia Li, who they have their match on tomorrow, which said to Becky to win, and they could just call before Raw tomorrow. So said to Becky to win on Raw. But point is with the War Game situation. I personally like it. I know it makes no sense, but they need star power. I didn't think they were going to do a women's War Games match, to be honest with you. I really thought they were going to leave it as with the men's War Games match, because that made more sense for it to be a War Games match for the men, but the women, I didn't feel like the women this year is kind of forced. But anyway, they need star power. I'm glad Becky's in the match. Doesn't make sense though, but I personally am okay with it. Becky's not really doing anything credible right now, so I mean, it's a bit one-off anyway, so it's fine for me. But I want to get your thoughts on that and feel about Becky and War Games, and if it's, even though it is kind of stupid and unnecessary, it's based on star power. But I'll get your thoughts on that because I think it's great, even though it makes no sense, and I agree with that. But I personally like it. But that's it. Thanks for our call. Bye.
Kyle, so again, I'm not a fan of it. Only because I don't like the brand rules being violated. That's all the reason is. I hate it. It's indiscriminately applied. The rules are indiscriminately applied and only applied when they need to be and not applied when they don't, and ignored when they need to be, and then strictly adhered to when they don't. Like that, there's just no consistency with the brand. They can't even, every year when there's a draft, they can't even wait a week before they violate their own rules. It kills me because it's insulting to my intelligence, as if we're not supposed to care as fans. And they put all these rules into place and then go, well, yeah, but it's better for the story if we have these people here, that people here, these people here. So WWE is counting on fans like you. And I don't mean that insultingly. I mean that you can overlook it, and I just can't because I'm stuck on it like a jerk. But I just can't get over it. Like, don't tell me there's rules, but also tell me the rules don't matter. I need coherence. And I'm not here sitting there going, oh, well, I don't understand. I do understand it. I understand why you don't care, because it does bring more star power to the match. And that's WWE's argument too, is, oh, sure, yeah, we're violating the draft rules, but, hey, it's a bigger match. Fans will be just happy to see Becky. Like, I understand that. But there is a subset of the audience that I think go, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. I want things to make sense. I'm a logical guy. If somebody doesn't need to be there and we don't get an explanation as to why, I don't care why they're there then. I go, this doesn't make sense. It's clear they're just bringing Becky in for star power only. And I'm uninvested. Especially when you bring in Becky, who's aligning herself with Charlotte, which they haven't had a clean history. It doesn't make sense. And I want things to make sense. I'm a big sense guy. So, cool. Kyle, if you overlook it and don't care and just want a bigger match with bigger star power, then you have your match. I also think if you're looking at this from a positive perspective, outside bigger star power and more star power, you look at this through the lens of, okay, they're preparing Becky probably for Rhea Ripley. Becky Lynch might get the victory here. You want her in a prominent match at Survivor Series rather than just kind of floating around with Xia Li on Raw and getting kicked in the head. So sure, yeah, you want Becky Lynch on a bigger stage, having a bigger impact, getting her ready for Rhea. So there is that too. But all right, next voicemail.
Alex, the French guy here, your current European champion. Who put this thing together? Me. That's who. Who do I trust? Me. If you know what I mean by this, it's a reference to the Scarface movie made by Escobar this past SmackDown. At the end of the promo, he delivered he went out of the ring because Carlito was coming to push him out of. And during the very end of the promo, I don't think we even see him on camera, but we hear him saying, who put this thing together? Me, that's who he didn't say who do I trust, but he only says, who put these things together? Me, that's who. That's a direct reference to Scarface, and Scarface is my favorite movie. So kudos to Escobar for this reference. At the beginning of the promo, I didn't think that was a direct reference to Scarface, even if I doubted it, because he also wore a white and red suit, which is exactly what Tony Montana is wearing some in the movies, not always, but a lot of times. And so, yeah, clear reference to Scarface. Kudos to Escobar for it. It's amazing promo. To be really, really honest with you, I didn't care about Escobar whatsoever before the heel turn. I thought that was just a jobber or something. For me, it was a jobber with no personality. It was basically a Ricochet 2.0 or something without the high-flying moves. But with this promo, it's amazing what he did. The promo in just 10 minutes, defining careers, just as you said, man, in, I think, the weekly review. That's amazing. In some regards, I also watched the Drew McIntyre promo, heel promo this past Raw. And to some regards, I even consider Escobar promo being better than Drew McIntyre's one on Raw. That's to say how much of a good job he did. Kudos to Escobar. Kudos for the Scarface reference. And bye, guys.
Alex, I mean, I think you liked it as much as I did. That promo was a career-defining promo. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people just looked at Santos as, he's kind of the Rey Mysterio light. He's, he supports Rey, so we like him, and he's a good wrestler. That's it. And within 10 minutes, we care more about him than in 10 months. That's the power of a promo. And there's nothing like a good heel turn that's executed well. Heel turns get more of a reaction than babyface turns because there's never usually that big moment. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are big moments that babyfaces turn, like when Sammy turned on Roman. Those are massive babyfaces turns. But there's nothing like a good heel turn. Heel turns, I think, elicit more of a gut reaction. More of a raw emotion of you SOB, the anger is a very strong emotion. And Santos hit it out of the park with his promo. I am very much looking forward to where this could go for him. Very much. I could see at some point, maybe the next year, a major title on him. Or sooner. He has come out of his shell. He has emerged. Santos Escobar has arrived. Maybe he's reinvigorating this Legado del Fantasma. Maybe it's just a solo act. But I'd imagine he's going to bring on a person or two. Or maybe have Joaquin Wilde join him, or one of the other guys from the LWO join him back in his group, and have Legado del Fantasma versus LWO, or whatever's remaining of it. So there's some stuff you could do here, and Santos was just brilliant, man. And I would agree in some ways, I thought it was a better promo than Drew McIntyre. This was really good, and I think this is even better than I think most of us thought he could be as a heel. So thanks, Alex. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, Matt, it's Brad in Florida. Excuse the noise if you hear it. It's 75 degrees and perfect here today. I'm just not in the mood to roll up my window, and I'm driving. So regardless, I was listening to you and Anthony talk about Gunther and the Miz's match. And the reason I think that there's a very good chance that the Miz can win is actually because I think it might be a great thing to get that Intercontinental title off of Gunther. He's done everything that he can do with it, and allow him to get into the main event scene potentially for a match with Rollins at WrestleMania, or for a match with Rollins at an Elimination Chamber, or something like that. Maybe even winning the Rumble. I know you said you don't see him winning the Rumble. I do think he would be a contender if he didn't have that Intercontinental Championship. So, who knows, man? But I think it might be a smart move to get that title off of him, and this is really the last opportunity to do it, unless you want to do it on a Raw or something like that. But or the last opportunity to do it really before WrestleMania. I don't think they would change the title at Royal Rumble or something like that because I think he would be in it. So, just my thought, man. Always great to hear your show. Your show has gotten to be even better, actually, man. Like, it is so good. There's no words for how much I enjoy it. So, thank you for the platform, man. And Anthony's great, too. Excited for Randy to return, man. And, last thing, really quick, if you have a second. LA Knight, what is he doing at Survivor Series? I guess we'll find out on Friday if it's nothing. But I would imagine he'd face Solo, but, like, I can't see them having that pay-per-view without him. So let me know, man. Bye.
Brad, well, thank you for the kind words. And also, we all, I think I can speak for everyone on the podcast listening, that we all truly hate you because you are in 75-degree weather. I didn't know if you were trolling me when you said that, but it sounded like you were gloating a bit about being 75 degrees while it was 35 degrees up here and we had an inch of snow. And the snow season has officially started here in New York, by the way. If you're above, if you're like Pennsylvania and above, that area, north of that, you've probably already experienced some snow already. And so from now through April, okay, we have about 5 months of this crap to get through before we get back to consistently warmer weather and then eventually hot summer weather. So, I think we can all universally say, from the bottom of our hearts, that we dislike you. But that said, no, Brad, I really do thank you for that. And, we're always trying to make the show better. It is, it's a work in progress. This is a one-man show from the production standpoint, but absolutely I wouldn't be able to do this without my team, with Anthony DeMarco and our SmackDown team, Michael Ritter and John Carrasco, and of course, Ethan Black on AEW, and Memphis Mark, who does a great job at NXT. And so, like, it's not just me. I post the stuff, I edit the stuff, but like, I don't record everything. So, credit to my team who just, they're awesome. But what's LA Knight doing? The answer is I don't know. The answer is maybe Friday night will tell us. Maybe it is a solo pre pay-per-view match, because I don't know how many matches they want to stick on the actual card itself. Given the War Games matches each are probably going to be 6 hours a piece. I'm exaggerating. Probably like 45 minutes a piece, 45 minutes a piece. That sucks up half the pay-per-view right there. So, they're probably going to do an LA Knight solo, pre-match or on the pre-show. Like, even though that doesn't seem like where LA Knight should be, I'd rather have him on the pre-show versus solo instead of on the, not on the card at all. But if not, I don't know if they're going to use LA Knight on the event. I don't know. It almost would be inconceivable given that he just had a world title match against Roman Reigns and nearly won, and then he's off the next event. See, this is the danger. And one of the massive drawbacks of Roman Reigns not being here is you're screwing with guys' careers. Like, this is how you screw with guys' careers. This is a perfect example. Now LA Knight is like, oh, I don't know, where do I go? Like, instead of having a rematch for the world title or for the undisputed title, he is kind of like, well, should I face Solo? Should I face Jimmy? Should I just do a run-in? What do we do with LA Knight? It's infuriating, man. Absolutely infuriating. But thank you so much, Brad. I hope you're well. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we'll talk soon. And all right, let's get to our final voicemail. We haven't heard this man in a while, but it feels just right. So let's take a listen.
Hey, man, this is Justin from Maryland. This call, man, hopefully the call doesn't drop this time. I want to get my thoughts on Survivor Series. So I was talking about the men's War Game match. So I'm kind of torn on who I want to win, because I feel like it only makes sense either Randy Orton gets to win or Drew McIntyre. But, like, in order for, Drew to, I guess, build some more heat, he should probably get the win. But then, Randy Orton's coming back, so he definitely should get the win. Probably going to end up pinning JD. I don't think, or Dominic Mysterio. I feel like the crowd's going to pop when Dominic gets to RKO. That's going to be good to see. But Yeah, so just looking forward to the match. I feel like the ending, after the match, that's going to tell us maybe like the direction they're going to go. Because I'm not too sure. I don't think we're going to get the cash in. But I do think that maybe we can see some more teases of dissension between the Judgment Day, but we'll see. Next, so yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so next, so it's kind of, I wanted to see Logan Paul have a match at Survivor Series. Maybe Ray could have got a rematch, but I guess the story, that was just a one-off. So I'm interested to see who is going to face Logan, for his first title defense. They're probably just going to have like a battle royal. Because I don't think Kevin Owens is too soon for Kevin Owens because he's feuding with Grayson Waller. And LA Knight, it's too soon. So I'm not sure. I feel like, whoever he faces, he'll end up losing. But yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. Next, so that's crazy that I had all my thoughts yesterday and now I just forgot. I should have wrote it down. Let me see. I mean, the women's War Games match, I feel like the women, Damage Control going to win. I feel like Team Bianca doesn't need to win. I feel like Damage Control should win to further the story as far as getting Bayley kicked out. So that'd be interesting. Oh, also, so the Intercontinental Championship. So, I know. So the tag titles. So it's a shame that we're getting that match on SmackDown because we know the Judgment Day is going to win. And then because they have a match at War Games, so it doesn't even make sense. So I feel like they should have waited for that, for the tag title match, because it's heel versus heel. So we don't really care who wins, but I just feel like it's just...
All righty, Justin. Good to hear you. And sorry your calls kept getting dropped. But let me respond to a couple of things. The Randy Orton getting the victory makes total sense. I mean, Randy Orton is a massive star. I have no issue with him getting the victory here. And it could be over Dom. It could be over JD. It could be over Damian. I really don't care who he pins. People just want to see RKOs and bodies flying. That's what it comes down to. And again, I will continue to say, I think he will not turn on Jay until, if he does, the end of the match. After the match is over, he may lay Jay out with a RKO. And honestly, maybe things are fine from there. Maybe they coexist, but that's going to be something to be seen, is where do they pair Randy? And as far as Logan Paul having a match, yeah, it goes with LA Knight too, is like, why aren't these guys on the event? And Triple H's regime, though, has been, his philosophy has been fewer matches, longer stories. That's been his philosophy for PLEs, and generally I think it's worked. Every PLE he's done has had fewer matches and longer stories, which not every time, certainly. I remember SummerSlam wasn't exactly the best event, and Crown Jewel was underwhelming because of the crowd reaction or lack of. But I think that you have a philosophy that works for PLEs, and every person doesn't need to be on the card. I get that. But at the same time, LA Knight is the fastest rising star in WWE. He's still a candidate to take out Roman Reigns for the title, still on the board there. Especially with the Rumble coming up, which is going to be a fascinating event. The Rumble is going to be fascinating when we get there. But in between, we have 2 months of just kind of radio silence in terms of PLEs. So could they have Gunther drop the belt between there? They could. Could they have Logan Paul have a defense of the U.S. title between now and Rumble? Absolutely, and they should. But here's what I will say. They should not have an absentee champion in Logan Paul. Meaning we already have one. We've had an absentee champion for the better part of 18 to 24 months now. And his name is Roman Reigns. I know he's had a longer title reign than that. It's been 3.5 years, but he was at least somewhat regular for the first year and a half. And then it just fell off the face of the earth after Brock Lesnar dropped the title to him at WrestleMania 38. So since WrestleMania 38, we've essentially had an absentee champion on SmackDown. So, yeah, like I don't need another absentee champion in Logan Paul. So we'll have to see. The jury's still out on that. I mean, we'll have to see how that all plays itself out after Survivor Series, or maybe Logan Paul shows up on SmackDown. I mean, we don't know. But as far as or Kevin Owens goes, yeah, he's messing around with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, but it's not a serious program. Like, I don't think he's locked into it. He's just kind of playing around right now. So I think Kevin Owens and Logan Paul is a very respectable matchup. Now, your final comment here about Damage Control. It's funny. I mean, I've heard arguments for why Damage Control should win or why they shouldn't win or why the babyfaces should win this match. I mean, to me, it's inconsequential. There's nothing that's going to be gained or lost by either team by winning or losing. The ultimate goal is to get Bayley out of the group. So whether you could figure out a way to do that with Damage Control winning, but you certainly could figure out an even better way if Damage Control loses, because then they could all blame it on Bayley and they all turn on Bayley, immediately turning Bayley babyface. So I think Damage Control probably loses, but if they win, I'm fine with it, because you could still come up with a story as to why they feel like Bayley is, dead weight in the group and they oust her. So I think that's also very possible. It's a tough match to really call there, but ultimately all of us have concluded that Bayley needs to turn face and leave Damage Control. That's the conclusion we've all come to. So, all right, that'll do it for me tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to get on the Patreon side of things and be able to listen to everything we do ad-free, including the exclusive After Dark show, if you're on the SmackDown tier or the NXT Plus and above, you get to hear that After Dark show that drops every week, and I hope you consider that. And it's a great time to join, too, because not only do you not want to hear ads every 7 to 10 minutes on the show, but also you're able to join a chat community on Patreon, on the Discord server, or the community chat, where you get to talk to other patrons supporting this show, but more importantly, who are wrestling fans that you can talk to during these events and give your real-time opinions, especially during Survivor Series. So it's a great time to join. Consider going there, or you can use Apple Podcasts for an ad-free experience, or on wwepodcast.com. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody who has joined over the last several weeks and months. I do appreciate it. I do, I understand that a lot of us are, not looking to add another subscription to our monthly billing, but I really appreciate everybody who has done that. And one of those people is George Picard. So, George, thank you for joining us really over the last day. So thank you so much, George. Shout out to you. All right, everyone, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you on Sunday for the weekend review. Stay safe. I'll talk to you next time.
Rock God is Stone Cold. The Hellraiser is back. Here we go. Evolution of the Shield. John Cena versus the Showstopper. Hulk Hogan and The Rock in the same ring. You will never take my place at the head of the table. Undertaker on the Hell's Gate submission. Oh my God! What? My God, Michaels just kicked Cena's head off. The Monday Night Wars have come to WrestleMania. It'll be The Rock. It'll be Austin one-on-one.